Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always excited to get cooking.
Well, today we're tackling a listener favorite, a recipe that screams flavor, and I'm talking about blackened mahi-mahi.
Oh yeah, a classic.
It's got that Louisiana flair, that crispy texture, and it's quick to make.
Weeknight winner for everyone.
Absolutely. Now, you can find the full recipe with photos and all the tips and tricks over at www.forkandfry.com. But we're going to break down the whys and hows right here.
Let's get into it. So blackened, it's not just a look, right?
Yes,
This
sir.
is a technique straight out of Cajun cooking. We're talking high heat, searing those spices right onto that fish.
Ooh, I can almost smell it now. And speaking of spices, this recipe has a pretty impressive lineup.
It does.
We got smoked paprika, garlic and onion powder, thyme, oregano, cayenne, salt, and pepper.
A whole symphony of flavors.
It really is. But what makes this combo so perfect for blackening?
Well, each spice brings its own unique element to the party. Smoked paprika, that's your smoky depth, that aroma. Garlic and onion powder, that's your savory base.
Makes sense.
Then you get thyme and oregano bringing those earthy herbal notes, and of course cayenne, that's your kick. But what's really cool is how that high heat transforms all these individual flavors.
I see. It becomes something even better together.
Exactly. Greater than the sum of its parts.
All right, so you don't just sprinkle this on, right?
No way.
The recipe calls for a nice coating after the fish takes a little butter bath.
Right. And you got to pat it dry first, you know. That's key for a crispy crust. Then the melted butter, it's like a glue.
Ah, I see, for the seasoning.
Yeah. It helps it stick and adds a little richness. Now, I have seen some people use oil instead of butter, and it makes me wonder.
Oh, yeah. Is there a difference?
Does it get as beautifully browned, as flavorful? Something to think about.
That's a great point. Now, the recipe specifically calls for a cast iron skillet.
Yeah, it does.
Is that like a non-negotiable thing? What makes it so special for blackening?
Cast iron is definitely the MVP here.
I can see why.
It distributes heat evenly. It holds that heat. That's how you get that perfect sear. You know, you want that skillet screaming hot. But could you use something else?
Like stainless steel.
Maybe. But you might not get the same crust, and you gotta watch out for hot spots.
So cast iron is the way to go.
For sure.
All right, the recipe says 3 to 4 minutes per side, aiming for an internal temp of 145 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
But beyond the thermometer, are there visual cues for that perfectly blackened look?
Oh, absolutely. You'll know it's done when you see that deep, dark crust, almost like a whisper of charcoal.
Okay, yeah.
It'll be dry to the touch, and the fish should flake easily with a fork. It's all about that contrast, you know, charred outside, tender inside.
And the aroma, I bet.
Oh, intoxicating.
Okay, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk serving suggestions, because the recipe mentions mango salsa, lime crema, and roasted veggies.
Oh, yeah, those are fantastic. You get that sweet and tangy salsa cutting through the richness, that creamy crema, and there's hearty veggies.
That's like a perfect balance.
It is. But you could also try, like, some coconut rice,
Ooh, I love that.
maybe sprinkle a fresh cilantro, or even a squeeze of lime right on that fish.
All right, now I'm officially hungry.
Ugh.
But it makes me wonder, is this just a weeknight hero, or can we dress it up for a dinner party?
Oh, blackened mahi-mahi is versatile, and it's quick for a casual meal, but with a few tweaks.
Like what?
Maybe a fancier side dish, a drizzle of some fancy oil. It can be the star of any gathering.
I love that. Now, for those who might be a little spice shy,
Yeah.
can you dial down the heat without sacrificing flavor?
Of course. You're the boss of your spice level. Start with half the cayenne, adjust to your taste,
Okay.
or get creative. Swap it for milder chili powder, or even smoked paprika for a smoky kick without the burn. You could even add a touch of sweetness to balance it out.
Ooh, interesting. This is making me realize there's a whole world of blackening beyond this recipe.
Oh, for sure.
But we've got to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more on blackening.
You know, it's funny. This technique really captures that Cajun spirit.
It does. Bold flavors, simple techniques.
Fresh ingredients. And you gotta love how they use high heat not just to cook, but to infuse flavor.
It's true. It's like culinary alchemy.
It is. Speaking of, have you ever thought about blackening other things?
Oh, totally. I've seen blackened chicken, shrimp,
Yeah.
even tofu. But is there like a magic formula for adapting it to different proteins?
That's where things get interesting. You really got to understand the protein's texture and its moisture content.
Oh, okay.
Something like shrimp cooks way faster than a thick piece of fish, right?
Right.
You got to adjust that heat in the cooking time so you don't overcook it.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot.
It is, where the seasoning gets crispy, but the inside stays juicy.
Exactly. Now, we've talked fish, but what about veggies? Can you blacken those too?
Absolutely. Blackened vegetables are amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Think like asparagus, zucchini, bell peppers.
Okay, yeah.
They can handle that high heat. You get this smoky char that goes great with their natural sweetness.
Wow. I'm already picturing blackened Brussels sprouts with a balsamic glaze.
Ooh, that sounds good.
The possibilities are endless.
They are.
But let's go back to the seasoning for a sec.
Okay.
The recipe we're working with seems pretty balanced, but can you personalize the blend?
Oh, absolutely. Make it your own. You want more heat, add more cayenne, maybe try a different chili powder, or a touch of sweetness, like a pinch of brown sugar or a drizzle of honey.
Ooh, I like that. And what about some citrus zest, like lemon or lime?
Now you're talking. It's like you have a blank canvas and a whole pantry of spices to play with.
Exactly.
And don't forget about different fats for coating. We talked about butter versus oil, but what about clarified butter?
Oh, yeah, good point.
Or even bacon fat.
Ooh, bacon fat would add a whole other level of smoky flavor.
Right. And you know what else I just thought of?
What's that?
Fresh herbs, like thyme or rosemary added right to the pan.
Ooh, that would infuse the fish with even more aroma.
See? You're getting it. That's what's so cool about this deep dive. It's not just a recipe, it's a whole culinary philosophy.
It's true.
Learn the basics and then you can make it your own.
I like that. It's about tradition, but also innovation. Speaking of, what are some common mistakes people make when blackening?
One big one is not getting the pan hot enough. You need that intense heat for a quick sear.
Otherwise it steams, right?
Yep. And don't overcrowd the pan. You need space for browning.
Gotcha. And I imagine too much oil or butter could make it greasy.
Exactly. It's about balance. And don't be afraid to adjust the cooking time depending on how thick your fish is.
That makes sense. These are all great tips. I feel way more confident about trying this now. And it's not just about blackening.
Bro.
These principles apply to all sorts of cooking methods.
They do.
It's about understanding heat, timing, and how flavors work together.
Absolutely. It's like learning a language. Once you know the rules, you can say anything.
That's a perfect analogy. But I think we've given our listeners plenty to think about for now.
We have.
But we'll be back in a bit to wrap up this blackening adventure. And we're back, ready to finish up our blackened mahi-mahi deep dive.
Let's do it.
It's amazing how a simple recipe turned into this whole exploration of technique and flavor.
It's true. It just goes to show you food can really spark that curiosity, you know?
Absolutely. We've covered a lot of ground here, from spices to heat management, even different fats for coating. So for those ready to go from theory to practice, what's your final piece of advice?
I would say don't be afraid to just go for it.
Yeah.
Experiment, make mistakes, learn as you go. Cooking is all about using your senses, trusting your gut.
That's so important. Sometimes we get caught up trying to be perfect and we forget to just have fun.
Exactly. Be in the moment, enjoy the experience.
Right. And don't get discouraged if your first try isn't, picture perfect. It takes time, practice.
It does. And remember, you've got a great resource to help you out. www.forkandfry.com. Full recipe, step-by-step photos, even more tips.
It's all there. So everyone listening, fire up those cast iron skillets, get those spices sizzling.
Embrace that blackening magic.
And if you're feeling inspired, share your creations. Tag us on social media, leave a comment on the Fork and Fry website. We want to see what you cook up.
Absolutely. We can't wait to see those blackened masterpieces.
All right, everyone, that's a wrap on our blackened mahi-mahi deep dive. Until next time, happy cooking.
Happy cooking.